Moldova is definitely a friendly country. Both our countries are linked together by a long-standing friendship.
I also wanted to ask you about Ilan Șor.
Maybe there's a reason why he doesn't visit Israel.
And the question was about the human casualties and civilian and also children. And we saw that even hospitals are targets.
Civilians, we don't want civilians to suffer. Our hearts go out to civilian suffering.
We had in Chișinău several protests in supporting Palestine. Do you think that would make Moldova less friendly if we had this kind of protests?
No, I don't think it changes anything. You're a democratic country. People are allowed to protest.
Bun găsit la Podcast ZdCe, sunt Natalia Zaharescu și invitatul acestei ediții este domnul Yoram Elron, ambasador al Israelului în Republica Moldova, primul ambasador al Israelului în Chișinău, în contextul în care ambasada a fost deschisă în luna februarie acestui an. Welcome, Mr. Ambassador, to Ziarul de Gardă.
Thank you for having me. Mulțumesc.
Thank you for agreeing to have this discussion. Israel has recently opened the embassy here in Chișinău, and you are the first ambassador here in the Republic of Moldova. And the decision of opening the embassy aligns to Israel's renewed focus on investing in friendly countries. How does Israel define friendly countries, and how does Moldova fit into this category?
Moldova is definitely a friendly country. Both our countries are linked together by a long-standing friendship, and so also by a commonality of interest. There's a confluence of interest between our two countries in the political realm, economic realm, strategic realm, cultural realm, and others. And the opening of the embassy testifies to the importance that we attach to our relations with Moldova. There are also historical links pertaining to the presence of the Jewish community, and the Moldovan Jews that have immigrated to Israel form a living bridge between our two countries, between our two nations. Moldova is an extremely friendly country, and it has demonstrated its friendship in international fora, standing by Israel as we confront all sorts of challenges in the multilateral arenas of war, rather, understanding our security needs, and this especially after October 7th, 23, standing by our side through thick and thin, and this is something that we appreciate very much. I have all sorts of ideas as to how to engage and promote cooperation which exists even further. First of all, I would say that there are high-level visits taking place, agreements that were signed and also in the pipeline. But I will focus, I think, on four main areas. One is IT technology. I think we have the expertise that could be of assistance to Moldova in realms like e-governance, for instance. The realm of agriculture, you have challenges. We have also challenges. We have the experience in the realm of irrigation, of water management, and I will be meeting the Minister of Agriculture shortly. Also the realm of medicine. We have extensive experience in the realm of emergency assistance in trauma cases, also telemedicine and other areas that I will be looking into with the relevant authorities and ministers. And tourism, also an extreme important component of our relations. Israelis are eager to find new destinations for travel. And Moldova, which is close to Israel, is a country to be discovered. Its beauties are extensive. I've witnessed this in the 6 weeks that I've been here already. The nature, the archaeology, the various sites. Chișinău is wonderful. Very, very pleasant city to go through and visit the sites. And outside of Chișinău as well, of course. And this is something that we will extending efforts to convince and persuade Israelis to come here. There are several direct flights. even daily flights. And this is something that we can monopolize on.
Can we expect more investments from Israel here in Moldova once the embassy is open?
I have no doubt about that, and there is already an interest, and I will be trying to link together the main Israeli players with the players here in the realm of, you have an investment agency that I will visit hopefully in the near future, and it is our role to make these links. Now you will be becoming part of the EU in a couple of years. I think that is also tremendous potential for Israel business ventures in many realms, including high tech. And the fact that the distance between our two countries is small, and then you can reach Moldova within 2 hours, is also of beneficial to the Israeli companies. And this is something that definitely is high on the agenda.
Here in Chișinău and also in the Republic of Moldova, there is an important Jewish community. They organize several cultural events to promote cultural and religious heritage. And what do you think the role of embassy will be to promote the culture and maybe to strengthen the ties between the Jewish community and the Moldovan society?
Well, I've in the short time that I've been here, I've come to realize that this is a very well organized and dynamic community that has extensive activities in various realms, education, culture, and they even teach Hebrew in the center, which is really immaculate, and this under the leadership of its president. And we will be putting in place a work program to promote together various activities in the near future, and I look forward to that, and I'm sure that to have an impact also on Moldovan society and culture.
Maybe you know, in Chișinău there is a Jewish cemetery, and it is not in a very good state. Maybe if you found out about this situation, and if there are any plans to be more involved from the embassy part, or maybe from the Jewish community, which is a wealthy community here in Chișinău.
Yes, I visited actually some sites yesterday, Jewish sites, and as you're right to say that some of them are in a bad state. And we will be looking into these matters with the Jewish community, also with the relevant players in Israel, to see what, in effect, we can do in order to address this very important issue and challenge.
Maybe you know about the situation. It was a big discussion in Moldovan society about a textbook, a history textbook. The Jewish community, the organization named Jewish Community, asked the Ministry of Education to withdraw this textbook because they say it misinforms students on the subject of Antonescu regime and its role in the Holocaust. The Ministry of Education said that the textbook is relatively okay, but they decided to request a review from Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial. Have you discussed this issue, this situation, and what is your
First of all, it's
position?
Extremely important to adhere to historical facts and portray them as they are. And as you rightly said, the Ministry of Education has approached Yad Vashem, which is the memorial for the victim of the Holocaust, but it is also a research center on the Holocaust, to make a review of this book. And I think that this has already been done, and the conclusions have been transmitted to the Ministry of Education. And I look forward to engage with the ministry in order to promote this very important issue.
Mm-hmm. Did you manage to have a discussion, or it will be in the future?
Not yet. As I said, I've just arrived, but it's definitely in the project. Yeah.
On this issue also was very vocal the Russian community, also the Russian embassy here in Chișinău, and they really instrumented this problem. And my question for you would be, how do you ensure that this situation, this problem is not instrumented by Russian propaganda?
Our work, as I said, is to engage with the authorities here. And this is what I will be doing. The rest is not within my competence, and I would not like to address that. What is important is the work that we do here. And as I said, it is extremely important that history is portrayed the way it was, and important to stress the facts as they were. I think it's important for the generation, the next generation, that they would know that history is portrayed the way it should be, through historic facts and without any reservations.
I also wanted to ask you about Ilan Șor. He is a politician, but he is one of the most important actors in the biggest bank fraud here in Moldova. He was convicted by Moldovan courts, and in 2019 he was a fugitive. He fled to Israel, and there were several requests from Moldovan authorities to Israeli authorities to extradite him. But last year we found out he is in Russia already. He has Russian citizenship, and he is a really Russian big supporter. He has several parties. He launched a political blog from Moscow, and he is also under international sanctions. Can you explain what happened and why he was not extradited here?
What I can tell you, what I know, is that the Israeli authorities are taking this matter extremely seriously, and they have been in contact with the relevant authorities here. Now, this individual that you mentioned is not currently in Israel, so we do not have any jurisdiction over this matter at the moment. If and when he decides to come to Israel, the Ministry of Justice will take actions according to Israeli law.
Yeah, but he was there for several years, and the decision of national courts were that he is
I can only
involved.
Present to you the situation as it is today, and maybe there's a reason why he doesn't visit Israel.
Do you think, I don't know, being an Israeli citizen, Ilan Șor, does this maybe affect somehow Israel's image on the international level?
I hope that
maybe?
It doesn't, because you're talking about Israel-Moldova relations. As we've discussed, there's so much ample volume to the bilateral relations. This is what really we should focus on.
Moldova and Israel had an agreement, a work agreement signed in 2013, and Moldovan workers were hired in Israel in constructions. But the last year, Moldovan authorities announced they will stop this program, and they said that Israeli authorities had admitted some violation of the agreement because they raised concerns about Moldovan workers being employed in high-risk conflict zones, and also they reported some abuses, including passport confiscation. Have you talked with our authorities on this agreement?
I know that there's an ongoing discussion on the matter of the well-being of the workers. I think there are 12,000 or so in Israel, in housing, construction, and home care. And they are extremely professional and doing an excellent work in Israel. And it's important that parties or the relevant authorities discuss the well-being of their whilst they're in Israel. I agree with that, yeah.
Can this agreement continue?
As far as I know, workers continue to arrive in Israel, so I think it is doable, yeah.
Is the Moldovan community there in Israel a big community, an important community?
Yeah, as I said, there's a living bridge between our two countries, our two peoples, our two nations, and it's an important, very strong and efficient bridge to bring us together.
I wanted also to address the situation of Israel's military actions in the Gaza Strip, considering the extremely high number of civilian casualties, including children. How does Israel justify the proportionality and the legality of these actions under international law?
In order to answer this question, with your permission, you have to see the broader context of the Arab-Israeli conflict and the present conflict, war we have in Gaza. Yeah, if you don't mind, I can do it, because this is a topic for a whole seminar. But I'll try to do it in short paragraphs. Since Israel was created in 1948, we did not have one moment of respite from wars, 5 wars, and a multitude of terrorist attacks. Israel is a peace-seeking nation. Since our establishment in 48, we have thought and questioned to make peace with our neighbors. The word shalom, which is when you say greeting, it means peace. And we've showed on ample occasions that we are willing to make substantial concessions, territorial and others, and to make peace. We've done so with Egypt, with Jordan, with the Palestinians. In 2005, the decision was taken by the government to withdraw completely from the Gaza Strip, to dismantle the whole infrastructure that we had there. Homes, synagogues, schools, cemeteries, everything. We even assisted the Palestinian Authority in its quest to receive international assistance, to build their own economy, to take care of their lives and to prosper. This is the intention. This is what we want. We taking care of our business. We don't want to have to deal with these issues, but we were there and we outstretched our hand to the Palestinians and we are together with you, build your autonomy, build a prosperous future. What happened in 2007 was that the Hamas took over. Now, Hamas, there's no arguments, is a terrorist organization which seeks to destroy Israel. It says so in its charter. This is something that people perhaps do not highlight enough, but this is what they aim. The aim is to destroy Israel. They are together with Hezbollah, the proxies of Iran, which is a main enemy today. All the humanitarian aid that reached Gaza Strip was hijacked by Hamas in order to build terrorist infrastructure. If it's rocket capabilities, if it's underground tunnels, and everything else that is implied, making its own population suffer. This is very important. That they were using, or still using, the civilians as human shields when they are firing towards Israel. And there are thousands of missiles that have been fired upon Israel since 2007. What happened, what happened on the 7th of October 23, it's the most horrific, barbaric attack on Israel. 1,200 civilians mostly were butchered, were murdered. Women were raped, soldiers were beheaded, things which are impossible, imaginable to think of. And 250 or so hostages were taken to Gaza. We had to respond. The response was that we will basically 3 components to engage on Hamas to make sure that Hamas is completely destroyed once and forever. This situation cannot continue. To bring back the hostages, of course, and to make sure that there's no more threat from that front to Israel. And this is what we have been engaging in since the beginning of the war. And this is something I think that should be well understood, that there's a context to this. You cannot just contemplate on one specific issue and extrapolate for that. You need to understand the context, that we have been doing whatever we can to bring in humanitarian aid before and after beginning of the war. But what happens is that this is hijacked by Hamas and therefore used against us at the end of the day. This is something that is of substantial consequence to the way that this war proceeds and unfolds.
Yeah, I understand the context, but the question was about the human casualties and civilian and also children, and we saw that even hospitals are targets.
Civilians, we don't want civilians to suffer. Our hearts go out to civilian suffering. But we are engaging in a war. It can stop when Hamas is stopped. It doesn't exist anymore, is no longer a threat to Israel. The humanitarian aid is flowing and continues to flow. But we have a right to self-defense like any other country. This is exactly what we are engaging in. If you have any other options that you think are viable, let us know.
But the international organization report that and accuse Israel of blocking the delivery of food and medicine.
As I said, humanitarian aid flows in. It is taken by Hamas. There's ample proof to that, how they manipulate the assistance that is rendered to the population. Now, there are all sorts of plans that are now we're trying to see if they are practical, including with the Americans. And hopefully, some of them will see the day of light. We have no interest in seeing the population suffer. On the contrary, we have been proven once and again that this is of extreme importance for us. But we are engaged in a war. This is a war for our existence. And this is something that should be well understood.
We had in Chișinău several protests in supporting Palestine, and people also are saying and talking about the situation of civilians there. Do you think that would make maybe Moldova less friendly if we had this kind of protests?
No, I don't think it changes anything. I mean, you're a democratic country. People are allowed to protest. That is a basic right, but it will not in any way affect bilateral relations, not at all.
So what is Israel's vision of ending this situation? Is there a strategy, a political end, or
the three elements. First of all,
military?
to liberate the hostages. The hostages are held in inhuman conditions. We've seen that from those that came back in talons, hundreds of tens of meters below ground, with semblance of food, with no visits by the Red Cross or any of that. This is barbaric. This is a barbaric attitude which is imposed on them. So this is the first thing. We've tried on ample occasions to bring this to bear, but there's still 58 hostages held there, suffering tremendously every day. Some of them are alive, some are not. So that's one thing. The second thing, as I said, to make sure that Hamas is dismantled militarily and also its governance. This has been going on for too many years, and no. We have a right to do whatever is necessary, like you would in any other country, to protect our citizens. And the third is to make sure that there is no more threat emanating from that place.
Yeah, I'm asking these questions because Moldova is next to a country which is attacked, is in war, and we understand people who are in this situation, and yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's important to stress, that now Israel is attacked, but this is radical Islam. So Israel is at the forefront of that, but it will reach the shores of Europe if it hasn't already. And it's something that the whole free world, and Moldova included, of course, should be aware of. That's not only our battle. It's not only the war that Israel is engaged in. It's the whole parameters of war of the free world.
Maybe if you can have a message on what your mission, do you think it will be here as an ambassador?
I'm sure it will be very successful, and I will hope that I will be able to contribute to the strengthening and fostering of these relations in the various realms that we have mentioned, and to bring them even closer.